Hey there Twisters, welcome back to another video. Now continuing my team by team series, I'm going to examine 5 reasons why I think the Carolina Hurricanes can win the 2020 Stanley Cup. So we're going to get deep into the statistical analyses here, so get ready for this one. This is going to get pretty nerdy here. Now for those of you who are new to the channel, I'm putting out videos like this on all playoff contenders through the month of March, along with other videos on hockey history and hockey culture, so be sure to hit the red subscribe button down below, as well as the notifications bell, that way you know when this guy is going to put something on YouTube. So as I'm making this video, the Hurricanes are 2 points in back of the Columbus Blue Jackets for 4th in the Metropolitan Division, as well as the first wild card. Now that said, they have 3 games in hand on Columbus, and we know the Jackets have been struggling lately. So even though they're still, wrestling with other teams for that wild card or for one of the 2 wild card spots, they're still doing fairly well. Now we know that the goaltenders have been out and they've had to bring in replacements, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And they've had some pretty key injuries as well now. Brett Pesce is down. Of course, Dougie Hamilton has been out for a while now. And Sami Vatanen is not doing, or he's on the shelf as well. So this team has definitely had some struggles recently. They've lost 4 out of 6, but they have won their last 2 games. So maybe things are looking up for them, especially when the goaltending comes back. 12th in goals for, 10th in goals against, 10th in power play, 4th in penalty kill, 3rd in shots for, and 2nd in shots against, and tied for 10th in faceoffs. So all around, a pretty solid team statistically. You see that they're in the top half for all of those, if not, even further, top 10 and whatnot. So this has been a pretty good year for Carolina. Not quite as exciting or as explosive as last year, but nonetheless, I think they're a pretty solid team heading into the postseason. So reason number 1 why I think they could win the Stanley Cup this year. Well, first of all, they're the Corsi gods, or at least of the Eastern Conference. Vegas would be the Corsi gods of the West. So the Hurricanes are 3rd in shots for and 2nd in shots against. However, in games in which they outshoot their opponents, they are just 18 and 18. So it's not exactly in the best of their interest to just fire pucks on net. They need to focus on the quality of shots, and I'll have numbers to back that up. They forced the 2nd most turnovers in the NHL, so that's very impressive, and as I mentioned earlier, 10th in faceoffs. So overall, a pretty solid team when it comes to controlling the puck and kind of dictating the pace of play. So I think that can definitely work to their advantage there, especially if they're going to focus on the quality of shots. They have the 2nd best winning percentage in regulation in the NHL when they are actually outshot. So check this out, and I'll look at their numbers before Peter Mrazek and James Reimer were, injured in that Toronto game. So 26 games before that in which the team was outshot. Look at this. They have outscored the opposition 85 to 62. They've been outshot 905 to 740. And their shooting percentage is actually 2 percentage points better than their average for the year. So their average shooting percentage for the year is 9.5%. Now, when they're outshot, that percentage is just about at 11.5%. And to give you an idea, the NHL average is 9.5%, so this team is well above average in that respect. So focus on the quality of shots. Don't worry about just throwing the puck on net, and then that way, who knows what can happen for you. Number 3, now we're kind of linking these all together. Number 3. As I've alluded to already, things are going to get better in net once Mrazek and Reimer come back in. I know that they're not the best of goaltenders out there, but the team overall plays so much better when they're in the net. So in games, we're going to keep talking about games when they're surrendering more shots. When they were starting before that Toronto game, and when the team surrendered more shots, the goaltenders combined for a 2.38 goals against and a .931 save percentage. Those are definitely Vezina caliber numbers there, so that's pretty darn amazing when the team is giving up more shots than they're taking. I'm very impressed by that nonetheless, in addition to that, that doesn't even factor in, additional time they log from overtime or overtime goals or shootout goals, so I'm pretty floored by those statistics, honestly. Now, in regulation in those 26 games, the team had a 12-6 record in regulation, so 18 of those 26 games. They were also 5-2 in overtime before going into the shootout there. And in addition to this, even though Mrazek wasn't the best goaltender last year in the playoffs, he does have a pretty solid track record in the postseason throughout his career. So we think we're going to get a good Peter Mrazek heading into the postseason. Okay, now reason number 4. Check this out. When they lead after the first period, or when they lead after the second period, the Canes have the best record in the NHL. So if they get up first, if they score the first goal, they're also the best team in the NHL. That's pretty crazy. Now let's factor in that 11.5 shot percentage that I was talking about earlier. So basically what I'm saying is if right from the get-go, this team is able to force turnovers and surrender shots, but only the lower quality shots, and from their offensive end of things, if they're able to generate quality shots, then that way this team has that much better shot percentage, and they have a proven track record right there, and they score first and it's game over. They hold down the fort, that .931 save percentage I talked about earlier. I mean, I think this is coming together as a success formula for this team. Look at that run that they made last year. They had a fantastic postseason, and it really seems like this team, every time they get into the playoffs, something great happens. So I think that there is definitely potential there. And reason number 5, once the typical starters are back in net for the Hurricanes and the defense kind of adjusts around that accordingly, I think that the top line producers for Carolina will definitely see their productivity return to form. So over the last 6 games that I've talked about, they've lost 4 out of 6. They've won their last 2 though. This team has not seen quite the best from Aho, Teravainen, and Svechnikov. However, if you look at some of those sample sizes before the goaltenders went down, you can see that they're logging a little bit less ice time, but they're actually a lot more productive, and their plus-minus is much better. So I think that this kind of revolves around them having to come onto the ice more recently to try and generate scoring chances. The team has only scored 16 goals in their last 6 games, so that's well below their typical average. So I think that once you have that defensive structure kind of return to form there, then the productivity from those top guys will definitely return. Well, anyway, that's going to do it for my 5 reasons on the Hurricanes. Let me know in the comments below, do you think that this team has a shot? Where do you see them finishing in the standings? And yeah, get ready, because we're going to be talking about more teams in the Metropolitan Division in the days to come. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already to tune in for the rest of this series and other videos that I'm putting out on hockey history, hockey culture, and all that good stuff. All right, everybody, I thank you for watching. This has been Nick with Twisted Wrister Hockey. I'll catch you later.